Tell her keep doing what she's doing. Tell her I love her and miss her so much I'm going to eat her like some ice cream when I touch down. Melly is now going to trial in January for witness tampering when Melly had no phone privileges. He allegedly used other inmates and three-way calls to pass messages outside the jail. Investigators say they uncovered a whole system of inmates sliding notes under doors, relaying messages, and even setting up outside calls on Melly's behalf. Alright, the last half of this video is me reading the full arrest paperwork for these charges. This is going to be interesting to see in trial. I don't know why this trial is happening out of nowhere. I find it bizarre that they're doing this now. In Florida, witness tampering in a capital case like Melly allegedly did. He can get sentenced up to 30 years in prison. Yes, you heard me correctly. Hit subscribe. Let's go, boys. Alright, first thing we got here. Order instructing court administration to implement special interest, high-profile procedures for jury selection. Fence case is 797 days old, specifically the witness tampering. Obviously, the case is set for trial January 21, 2026. I had no idea about this. I don't quite understand why they're doing this trial first, but here we go. The present case is subject of widespread media attention across the United States and international. Defense previous trial was live-streamed across several traditional, non-traditional media forums. This court notes every hearing conducted by this court involving this defendant-codefendant court, Henry, has been live-streamed. Court notes during jury selection defendants' previous trial. There were numerous incidents regarding inappropriate contact and inappropriate communication, attempted communication between the prospective jurors and numerous members of the public. As a result, BSO was required to use additional resources in the courtroom, at the public elevators, and in the hallways of the courtroom to prevent inappropriate contact and inappropriate communication and attempt communication between jurors and numerous members of the public, which created security concerns for the attorneys and courtroom personnel and prospective jurors and members of the public. I don't remember this happening, but it does not surprise me in the first trial. It was a underscore show. In the first trial, remember it was one juror that convinced two other people to come to her side. So it was 9 people to convict M3 didn't want to convict him. There's rumors that that juror was paid off, but obviously there's not really any evidence of it. I guess concerns for the welfare and safety of their attorneys, courtroom personnel, and prospective jurors, protecting their names and addresses. 250 total jurors summoned. A jury panel of 60 will be populated by the prospective jurors who indicate they are available for schedule. No people from the public will be allowed in. Seats available for prosecutors, support staff, defense attorneys. Defense attorney, support staff, deputy, and court clerk. Court reporter signed in court deputy. Court must ensure both state and defendant are granted due process of law and a fair and public trial. Broad County Clerk of Court shall redact the name of the jury for person. Redact the names of all jurors in the record of trial proceedings. Seal all juror information, including but not limit to the jury panel. Prevent disclosure of the name of all jurors and prospective jurors involved in the case. I understand this underscore. I mean, dude, if I was on a jury for cases like this, I'd be underscore terrified of my identity being out there. All right. Order regarding the use of cell phones in the courtroom. No member of the public shall display or use or view any cell phone or other portable electronic device at a time in courtroom 4780. No video. No audio, nothing. I mean, this is all common sense. We know this. Wait, no member of the public shall communicate directly or indirectly with any in custody defendant in the courtroom. That's not going to happen. Bro, Melly's family is definitely going to try to communicate with them. They did that in the first trial. They were talking across the courtroom like looking at each other the whole trial. I wonder if he's going to enforce that. A minute order setting discovery deadline and motion deadline January 9th, and the trial is January 21st, 2 weeks later. No further discovery. Submissions by either the state or defendant after January 9th. Any witness, evident, or exhibit of any kind not disclosed by January 9th shall not be admitted into evidence at trial. And I know Judge Fine will enforce this one. I mean, he doesn't play games with evidence. I've seen this in the previous hearings. Like, if the state doesn't give over evidence in time, he's going to be like, nope, not allowed in. All right, here's some background info on the witness tampering charge specifically. Remember, Cortland Henry also got charged with witness tampering, and so did this guy Terrence Mathis. I think both of them, obviously. I think Cortland took a plea, and so did Terrence Mathis because he had a bunch of other charges. So they're both sentenced to prison already for this. All right. Obviously a lot of redacted underscore, but I can fill in the blanks. We're going to start down here in the bottom half. Felicia Holmes sent screenshots of an Instagram conversation to Detective Moretti, showing that Cortland Henry, while he was out on bond the first time, had engaged in some communication with Miss Holmes, and Miss Mariah Hamilton, Melly's girlfriend, told Miss Henry that if Mariah told on Melly, he would be getting the death penalty, and that Melly hypothetically told her everything. Miss Holmes continued on stating she didn't tell them people what he told her, or there would never be any getting out for him. But since y'all gunning for her and she's scared for her life. So what we just learned there is that Felicia Holmes showed Detective Moretti Instagram messages of Portland saying like, don't send Melly to them. 'Cause remember, Melly allegedly facetimed his girlfriend after the murder, like in the woods and underscore. But Mariah Hamilton allegedly avoided the police for years and avoided testifying. Like she straight up didn't testify the first trial, but her mom did. Garrett Steele was assigned to investigation regarding witness tampering September 23rd. Danny Polo, the guy with the mask, became involved in the criminal case regarding Jamal Demons. February 22nd, in contact to review documentation on whether or not Melly was a gang member. He was investigating a guy named James Howard, who was incarcerated too with Melly. He was monitoring the jail calls of James Howard. Melly does not have phone privileges due to disciplinary actions while in custody. While monitoring the calls of James Howard, her discussions about Howard communicating with Mr. Demons and passing messages. These phone conversations then led to Polo requesting to provide any and all calls from James Howard from previous 12 months to certain outgoing numbers. Known girlfriend of Jamal, Mariah has corresponded with Demons postcards and phone calls for the last few years. Three-way call on behalf of Melly determined to be Jameson Francois's manager. So the manager was also helping phone number of Travis, which was identified to be Jameson Francois, and then Cortland Henry. So Melly was communicating through James Howard to Cortland Henry and his ex-girlfriend. All right. Inmate Terrence Mathis made more than 60 calls to Cortland Henry between March 23rd and August 23rd. So, literally during his first trial, Mathis currently waiting trial for first-degree murder. Demons has developed a sophisticated system to communicate with individuals outside of the jail, including Cortland Henry, and then this is where the cameras get involved. All right. So that we're going to see all this in the trial, I hope. Main Jail Camera Unit 5C Unit 2, August 21st, 23. Starting at 511 to 530, Demons is speaking to an inmate from the cell that was in the day room for his timeout. During the conversation, you can notice Demons' motion towards the adjacent unit, which is Unit 5C3. The inmate who he is speaking to then points towards the same unit to confirm what Demons was referring to. Damon tosses what appears to be a note letter under his door. So, he wrote a note and he tossed under a door to someone to give to someone else. The same inmate grabs what appears to be the note from the floor, tosses what appears to be multiple letters notes under the door that leads into the day room from Unit 5C2. Dion appears to be instructing the inmate from 5C2 to call someone from the adjacent 5C3, and the inmate complies. They pick up the note seen speaking to Demas about Demons instruct him to toss it back to adjacent 5C3. It appears one of his notes did not make it over to adjacent 5C3. Notes letters start to appear in camera view being sent from the adjacent day room. Inmate begins to gather the notes by kicking them to the bottom landing of the unit. Once the letters notes were kicked to the bottom landing, The same inmate continued to kick them down towards the shower in the area of cell 8. Inmates can be seen trying to look under the door that enters adjacent Unit 5C2. Note: letters appear in camera view and inmate retrieves by kicking it down to the bottom landing. Both inmates who collected the notes letters begin to approach who appears to be inmate Howard James, hand them over to him. Howard comes in camera viewing a letter and walks towards the telephone to read the letter. Howard attempts to make a phone call. Howard pulls out Notes' letter